Hey everybody, Jeff Schneider here, and in today's video we're going to answer this question sent in by a piano player. Here it is. I'm working on an R&B song in the key of C major, and the basic 1-4-5 chords sound really plain to me. I want to make it sound more emotional and interesting. I've tried adding 7th chords, but it still feels a bit boring. Can you help me figure out how to make the chord progression sound richer and more soulful? Yes, I can, and that's what we're going to do here. We're going to start with a really basic chord progression. As you said, we're going to work with the 1-4-5 and then back to 1. So if we're in the key of C major, the 1 chord is C, the 4 chord is F, the 5 chord is G, and back to the 1 chord is C. Sounds like this. Very basic, nothing special about that. You added some 7ths, which is a great place to start. Let's do the same. C major 7, F major 7, G7, and then C major 7. That sounds like this. Add some color, but it's lacking that pro sound. So we're going to take the same notes that I just played, but rearrange them to make them sound more pro, more mature. Check this out. So what did I do there? I rearranged the notes. It's all about inversions, guys. All about inversions. So check this out. If you take a C major 7 chord, C, E, G, B, and then you rearrange the notes like this, E, G, B, C, what did I do? I moved the bottom note to the top. So I went from here to here. That's first inversion. Let's do the same thing. We're going to take that bottom note, E, we're going to put it on the top. So we have G, B, C, and E. Bottom note goes to the top. That sounds like this. Beautiful sound. Let's do it one more time. Now we have a B in the bottom voice, and then we have the C, the E, and there's our G, moving the bottom note to the top. Okay, so those inversions allow you to then transition from one chord to the next in a very smooth way. So the way that I did it just there was I had a C major 7 chord like this. So I have the root, the 5th, the 7, and the 3rd, and then I just smoothly transitioned to F major 7. I only had to move a couple of notes just a little bit. I kept this E in the top because that's a common tone between the two chords, and everything else just moves a little bit. Same thing with the G7. Very minimal movement. Back to C major. This version, it just sounds clunky because I'm jumping all over the place. Don't jump all over the place unless you're going for that effect. In general, you're going to want smooth voice leading, which means very little movement between chords. And in order to achieve that, you need to have inversions down under your fingers as comfortably as possible. But in this case, we have C major 7, F major 7, and G7. Once you have that, you're going to be much better off in terms of good voice leading. So that's the first thing, good voice leading. Now the next thing, we're actually going to go over 5 things, ways that you can improve that basic 1-4-5-1 progression. First thing was voice leading. The second thing, well, check this out. What am I doing here? Okay, so what I altered there was the 5 chord. I altered that G. Instead of just doing G7 here, I did the holiest of chords, G sus. Okay, so we're gonna take out that 7 for a second, and we're just gonna put in a little sus action there. We're gonna put the 4 into the chord instead of the 3. So if we take just the regular G major chord, we have a G, a B, and a D. And instead of playing the 3rd, instead of playing that B, we're gonna play a C. So let's erase this, get rid of that, put in the C, boom. There we go. So now we have the 1, the 4, and the 5. This right there is the suspended, the sus 4. So whenever you see G sus, really what it is G sus 4. But that's not enough. We got to make it sound more interesting than just a good old G sus chord. Let's make it a G7 sus. So now we're going to do G7 sus, and it's the same thing that we had before, G, C, D, but now we're adding the F. So we have a G, a C, a D, and an F. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to add the 9. So let's just turn that 7 into a 9, which is going to imply the 7. So we're going to keep that F, but we're going to add the 9. Now, what is the 9 on a G chord? Well, all you have to do is go up the scale. If we take a G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then G, that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What's next? 9, which is A. So we're going to add the A on top. All right, so now we have a G9 sus. And this is where you can get into some interesting territory. This is where you can find chords within the chord. Here's what I mean. If you take that G sus chord, the G9 sus that is, and you look closely, we've got an F, an A, and a C. That's an F major triad. So a lot of the times you're going to see this chord. You're going to see an F over G, this sound right here. Very classic soulful sound. That's what I did on one of my variations just a moment ago. I played something like this. Right there is F over G. I can add the D in there to make it more like a G9 sus, resolving back to C major 7. So we're gonna make the 5 chord a sus chord. You can even go further than the 9. You can do a 13. That's G13 sus. This is a cool one. Another really great sound, G13 sus. What is that? Well, we have the G, we have the C, the D. That's our basic sus chord. We added the 7, we added the 9. The 13 is what? What's the 13? It's E. It's the same as the 6. So we have 1, 4, 5, 7, 9, 13. We're not gonna play it just like this though. I'll play that one more time with all of the notes held down. That's fine, but again, we can find a chord within the chord. In this case, instead of just playing F major, F, A, C, we're gonna play F major 7. So now we can break this down more like this. F major 7 over G. Looks like this. That's a great sound. So check this version out. There I used a technique called the sticky top. At least I call it the sticky top. And that's because I keep the same note in the top voice on each chord. I've got an E there. Again with the E on the F major 7. There's the E on the G13 sus chord. Back to C major. You can even do like a little Christmas action there. All right, but it's really hot outside, so we're not gonna do Christmas music just yet. Let's keep going. Quick review. First thing we did was improve the voice leading using inversions. Then we turned that regular 5 chord into a sus chord, much more common for R&B type tunes and chord progressions. Also for jazz, a really good chord to know. I just find that the regular 5 chord, that 5/7 chord, it's a little harsh sometimes. You have that tritone in there. The tritone between the 3rd and the 7. It can be a little abrasive. So if you want a smoother, soulful sound, take out the tritone, take out that B, make it a C, make the 3 a 4, get a 5 sus chord happening there, and everything's gonna smooth out. It's gonna be a lot more soulful, and I think that's what you're going for. So let's keep going now. The next thing we're gonna do is start, well, I'm gonna play it first, and I want you guys to figure out what I'm doing. Take a listen to this version here. One more time. Those are some really slick chords. What's going on? We started with the basic C major 7, nothing too crazy there. But then I played this voicing. What the heck is this voicing? It's an F major 9, F major 9 with the A in the bass. That slash there means that there's an alternate bass note. So I have in the right hand, or in the top part of the voice, of the voicing, we have F, G, C, E. That's the root of F major 7, the 9, the 5, and the major 7. With the A, the 3rd in the bass. So we're putting the 3rd in the bass. This on its own is a very nice voicing. But when you add that 3rd, it gives it a whole new color, breathes a lot of life into it. The next chord, we're gonna do a very similar thing. We're gonna do G add 9 over B, another chord with an alternate bass note. So G add 9 over B, putting the 3rd in the bass. In this case, when it says add 9 like that, what that means is you're not gonna play the 7, you're just gonna take your regular G major triad, add the A, add the 9, and in this case, we're gonna take the B there, the 3rd, drop it down the octave to give us that 3rd in the bass. G add 9 over B. So the overall concept here is put the 3rd in the bass. What this actually provides is a really nice bass line as we get back to C. So if you go to a C major 7 chord for the next chord, you have this A going up to B, going up to C, which is a really nice bass line. Check it out. Very smooth in the bass there. You can also go to C major 7, or we can do another add 9 chord. What if we do this? Let's take this out. We're going to do C add 9 over E. So instead of going to a C for the last chord, we're going to go to an E in the bass. That sounds like this from the top. I'll move that there. C add 9 over E. I'm doubling the fifth in this voicing. All right, what else do we have to talk about here? We talked about good voice leading and inversions. We talked about turning that 5 chord into a sus chord. And we talked about alternate bass notes. What else can you do? Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. Okay, what am I doing here? Let's go to a new page. Clean slate. Check it out. Okay, that's pretty cool. So kind of a new chord progression, but how did we get there? Now we have, let's write the chords out. We have a C major 7, same as before, F major 7, same as before. We did the G sus. In this case, it was a G9 sus, also known as F over G. And then I went to A minor 7. Now, in the classical theory textbook, this is called a deceptive cadence. Deceptive cadence. That's because you'd think we're going to go back to the C, but no, instead we go up to the 6th chord, A minor 7. So I don't call it a deceptive cadence. I call it the 3-foot sub. Why do I call it that? Because we're substituting A minor in for C major. Now, what about this 3-foot sub nonsense? Well, if you take a look at the chord scale charts that I have, you'll see that the A chord is a third away from the C chord. So it's a 3-foot sub. There are 3 steps between C and A. From C to A is 3 steps. You can go down 3 steps. You can also go up 3 steps. And that's a great way of finding some substitute chords for your basic sounding chord progression. Let's try this. Instead of F major 7, what's a 3-foot sub away from F major 7? We're going to go down from F to D. So we're going to do, instead of F major 7, we're going to do D minor 7. By the way, if you want the chord scale charts, you can get them for free in the link in the description below. Really helpful to have those as a reference to figure out chord substitutions and just to get to know how your scales and your chords relate to one another. In this case, we have a D minor 7 as a substitute for the F. It's 3 steps away. And from there, we're going to go to our G sus chord or G9 sus. And then let's go up to A minor 7. Now remember, the A minor 7 is a substitute for the C, okay? Because it's 3 steps away. What does this one sound like? D minor 7, G9 sus, A minor 7. That's a great sound. Very cool. Instead of going down from C, down 3 steps from C is A, what if we went up? If we went up from C, you go C, D, and E. So that chord is E minor. E minor 7 in this case. We're going to start on a sub as well. So we're not even going to play C in this version. What is a 3-foot sub away from C if you go down? Remember, C, B, down to A. So we're going to start on A minor 7. Let's do the 3-foot sub from F. So that's going to be a D minor 7. Then we have our G sus, G7 sus, however you want to call it. And then we're going to go to E minor 7. So we have a whole bunch of subs in here. A minor 7 is a sub, D minor 7 is a sub, E minor 7 is a sub. Remember, the original chords are C, F, and then C at the end. What does this sound like? Let's take a listen. That sounds nice. It sounds like we're going somewhere else though. I'm actually going to rearrange these 2 chords. We're going to flip the A minor 7 and the E7 and the E minor 7. I just think that's going to sound a little bit more musical because the E minor 7 sounds like we're going somewhere else, like we're not finished yet. And I want it to sound a bit more resolved. So let's start on E minor 7 and end on A minor 7. So we just did a little switcheroo there. It's still a 3-foot sub. Now we're going up from C to E and down from C to A. It sounds like this, starting on E minor 7. That's kind of nice. Some other variations. Let's try this one. A couple more. That was kind of cool. That was E minor 7, D minor 7, This is a G13 sus going to A minor 9. The other thing I'm thinking about, this is not one of my five points to remember, but it is a good thing to keep in mind. This is like a little bonus I'm going to throw in, and that is to keep the melody in mind. The melody being the top note of your voicings. When I'm experimenting with all of these variations, I'm not just looking for voicings, I'm looking for melodies on top of those voicings that sound good. So if I'm not happy with the way something sounds, sometimes it's the voicing, but a lot of the time it's the voicing, but specifically the top note in the voicing. I want there to be a nice melody as we go through each of these 4 chords. So when I play this version, I like that because we have this nice melody with the chords. All right. I know I got a little fancy there with the A minor 9 at the end, but the principle is the same. Look for good melodies and experiment with these 3-foot subs because they can really spice up a boring chord progression like a 1-4-5-1. But we're not done. I think we have one more. We have one more. This is the classic, guys. The classic sub. It's not even a sub. It's just a way of spicing up a chord progression. And that is, once again, I'm gonna let you guys figure this one out, or I'm at least gonna give you the chance to put on your ears and listen to what I'm doing. So let's see here. I'm gonna write the original chord progression just so you have it. And I'm not gonna change any of these chords. I'm just gonna add a chord. I'm gonna add a chord to the mix. C major 7, F major 7. We're gonna keep our G sus, G7 sus, and then C major 7 at the end there. So what am I adding? Here's the original. All right, and here's my new version here. One more time. What did I do there? I added a chord, but what chord did I add? I'll slow it down. Here is the first chord, C major 7. What is this? This is a C9 chord, but really in essence, it's a C dominant 7th chord. Now, where does that come from? This is what I call a VX gas chord. VX gas chord, if you know, you know. Basically, this is known as a secondary dominant chord in the traditional sense. I like to call it a VX chord because it simplifies it. It's V as in 5, X as in whatever chord you're going to. In this case, the X is F major, and the 5 of X is C7. So we're going from V to X, 5 of X. This works going to any chord. Let's see if we can put another one of these in here. We're going to use the 3-foot sub and combine it with the VX gas chord. This is going to be hip. Let's check it out. We're going to do C major 7. We're going to keep our VX gas chord here. We're going to throw that C9 in there that we did before, and we're going to go to F major 7. And then we're going to do the G sus, G7 sus. And then eventually we're going to get to that no. We're not going to C major 7. We're going to do the 3-foot sub. We're going to go to that A minor 7. And then we're going to do a VX gas chord on whatever goes in here. So VX gas, we have to fill in the blank here. VX, 5 of X. A minor 7 is the X. What's the 5 of A minor 7? It's E, E7. All right? But I'm not going to stop there. I'm not even going to do E7 because it doesn't have to be a 7 chord. I'm going to integrate some of the stuff we talked about earlier. We're going to do that third in the bass. You're going to see where this is going in a second. We're going to do it E over G sharp. We're going to put the third in the bass. And what is that going to do? We're going to get a really smooth bass line that way. Check this out. We've got a G sharp, an A. Very smooth there. I mean, you could just do a regular E in here. You could do just an E major or an E7. I'm going to put the third in the bass there to get that smooth bass line, just so we can throw in some of those other techniques that I've talked about today. So here it is all together. Let's try to play this. We have C major 7 to C9, F major 7 to, this is a G9 sus, and then that chord right there is the E over G sharp, resolving to A minor 7. Now we have to figure out sort of the harmonic rhythm here to make this work. Harmonic rhythm is just, that means how fast each chord is going to go by. So we have this melody, da, 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 do, da, da, with the chords, da, dee, do, do, da, da. If you want to get more into how to spice up your chord progressions, I have this amazing deal right now. It's called the Jazz R&B Chord Accelerator, and it includes a whole bunch of my best chord theory courses. And you can get that at a great deal right now. I'm going to link that in the description below. Check that out. It's only available for a limited time. It's the Jazz R&B Chord Accelerator. If you want to get better at playing more interesting chord progressions, I mean, as far as voicings and chord progressions, reharmonization, just understanding the music theory, this is the best stuff I have for that. So check out the Jazz R&B Chord Accelerator in the description below. And if you want to watch another video where I dig into that alternate bass note technique, you can check out this video over here. It's a good one. I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.